There's a moment in every intense romantic attraction when the other person seems to glow with an almost supernatural radiance. They appear perfect, fascinating, impossibly alluring. Time stops when you're with them. Your heart races at the thought of them. You feel more alive, more yourself, more complete in their presence. This is what poets call falling in love. But Carl Jung discovered something that shatters this romantic fantasy. The person you're obsessing over is not actually real. They're a projection screen for the hidden parts of your own psyche. Jung spent decades studying the psychology of love, and what he found challenges everything our culture teaches us about romantic relationships. He discovered that the experience we call falling in love is actually a case of mistaken identity. We believe we're responding to who the other person truly is, but we're actually responding to what Jung called the anima or animus, unconscious aspects of ourselves that we project onto others. Let me explain what this means. Jung observed that every man carries within him an unconscious feminine image, the anima, and every woman carries within her an unconscious masculine image, the animus. These aren't just abstract concepts, they're living psychological realities that profoundly influence our romantic attractions and relationships. As Jung wrote, "Every man carries within him the eternal image of woman, not the image of this or that particular woman, but a definite feminine image. This image isn't created by your experiences with real women or men. It's an archetype, a primordial pattern inherited from countless generations of ancestors. It's the accumulated experience of masculine encountering feminine, feminine encountering masculine, across thousands of years of human evolution. This archetypal image lives in your unconscious, shaping your romantic desires in ways you're completely unaware of. When you meet someone who resonates with this unconscious image, something extraordinary happens. You experience what feels like instant recognition, as if you've known this person forever. You feel an inexplicable pull toward them that seems to transcend logic or reason. This is the moment of projection, when your unconscious anima or animus finds a suitable hook in the external world and attaches itself to another person. But here's the crucial insight that Jung discovered. In that moment of intense attraction, you're not actually seeing the real person in front of you. You're seeing your own unconscious image superimposed on them. They become a screen upon which you project all the qualities, characteristics, and potentials that live in your own psyche, but that you've never consciously claimed or developed. This is why the beginning of romantic relationships often feels so magical and transformative. When you're with this person, you feel more complete, more whole, more alive. But Jung understood that this feeling of completeness doesn't come from the other person. It comes from temporarily connecting with the projected parts of yourself through them. You're falling in love with your own unlived potential, your own disowned qualities, your own unconscious possibilities. Think about the qualities you find most attractive in others. A man might be drawn to a woman who seems mysterious, intuitive, emotionally deep, or spiritually connected. A woman might be attracted to a man who appears strong, decisive, intellectually brilliant, or adventurous. But Jung would ask, are these qualities actually present in the other person, or are they aspects of yourself that you've never developed and are now projecting outward? The woman who seems so mysterious might simply be quiet or guarded. The man who appears so strong might just be emotionally detached. But in the grip of projection, you don't see these realistic qualities. You see the idealized image from your unconscious. You're essentially falling in love with an illusion, a phantom created by your own psyche's need to encounter its hidden dimensions. This explains one of the most painful patterns in romantic relationships: the inevitable disappointment that follows the initial infatuation. After weeks, months, or sometimes years, the magic begins to fade. The person who once seemed perfect starts to reveal flaws, limitations, and ordinary human qualities. The mysterious woman becomes just quiet. The strong man becomes emotionally unavailable. The idealized image crumbles, and you're left with a real, complex, imperfect human being. Most people interpret this as having chosen the wrong person, or as evidence that the love has died. So they leave the relationship and unconsciously seek another person to carry their projection. They fall in love again, experience the same initial magic, and eventually face the same disappointment. This cycle can repeat throughout a lifetime, with each relationship following the same pattern of idealization, followed by disillusionment. But Jung offers a radically different interpretation. He suggests that this pattern isn't a sign of bad luck in choosing partners. It's an invitation to psychological growth. The dissolution of projection, painful as it is, creates an opportunity to reclaim the qualities you've been projecting and to develop them consciously within yourself. The disappointment is actually the beginning of real relationship, not the end of love. Consider what happens in that moment when you first realize that your partner isn't who you thought they were. You might feel betrayed, as if they deceived you by not living up to the image you had of them. But Jung would say that you deceived yourself. The other person never asked to carry your projection. They were simply being themselves while you were relating to an image in your own unconscious mind. This realization can be devastating, but it's also liberating, because once you understand that you've been in relationship with a projection rather than a person, you gain the opportunity to make a different choice. You can withdraw the projection and begin to see the real human being in front of you. And simultaneously, you can turn inward and ask, what does this projection reveal about the undeveloped parts of myself? If you've been projecting strength onto partners, perhaps you need to develop your own inner strength. If you've been projecting mystery onto others, maybe you need to explore the mysterious depths of your own psyche. If you've been seeking someone to make you feel complete, perhaps you need to integrate the parts of yourself that would create that sense of wholeness from within. This process, withdrawing projections and integrating what they reveal, is central to Jung's concept of individuation. It's how we become whole, complete individuals rather than remaining fragments seeking completion through others. And paradoxically, it's also how we become capable of genuine love rather than mere projection. Because here's what Jung understood about real love. It can only exist between two people who have done enough inner work to see each other clearly. As long as you're relating to projections, you're not actually in relationship with another person. You're in relationship with your own unconscious. True intimacy requires what Jung called withdrawal of projections, where you reclaim the idealized images you've placed on others and take responsibility for developing those qualities in yourself. But this doesn't mean that all attraction is projection, or that romantic love is just an illusion to be transcended. Jung recognized that there's often a kernel of truth in our projections. The person who carries your anima or animus projection usually does possess some genuine qualities that resonate with that archetypal image. The projection wouldn't stick if there weren't some hook, some real characteristic that allows it to attach. The work isn't to eliminate projection entirely. That's probably impossible and might not even be desirable. The work is to become conscious of when you're projecting, to distinguish between the real person and your unconscious image, and to gradually integrate the projected qualities so that you're less dependent on others to experience those aspects of yourself. This is what Jung meant when he said that the anima and animus serve as guides to the unconscious. Through our romantic attractions and relationships, our psyche is constantly trying to show us what we need to develop, integrate, and become conscious of. Every intense feeling of love is a message from your unconscious about your own unlived potential. Think about the evolution of a healthy, long-term relationship through this lens. In the beginning, there's intense projection, the magic, the obsession, the sense that this person is everything you've ever wanted. Then comes the disappointment as the projection fades and you see the real person. This is where most relationships either end or become stuck in resentment and disillusionment. But if both people are willing to do the psychological work, something else becomes possible. As you withdraw your projections and integrate their lessons, as you stop demanding that your partner be the idealized image and accept them as they actually are, a different kind of love emerges. This love is quieter, less dramatic, but infinitely more real. It's based on genuine seeing, mutual respect, and the conscious choice to be in relationship with an actual person rather than a fantasy. This mature love doesn't have the addictive intensity of projection-based infatuation. It doesn't make your heart race or give you that desperate longing when you're apart. But it offers something that projection never can: actual intimacy. Being truly seen and accepted for who you are, seeing and accepting another person for who they truly are. Building a life together based on reality rather than illusion. Jung also understood that the work of withdrawing projections and integrating the anima or animus isn't just relationship work, it is soul work. When a man integrates his anima, he doesn't just become better at relationships, he becomes more whole as a person. He develops his capacity for feeling, intuition, receptivity, and emotional depth. He becomes less one-sided, less trapped in pure rationality or aggression. Similarly, when a woman integrates her animus, she develops her capacity for logical thinking, decisive action, assertion, and independence. She becomes less dependent on others to provide these qualities and more capable of accessing them within herself. The integration of anima and animus is ultimately about becoming a complete human being rather than a one-sided caricature of masculinity or femininity. But this integration process is rarely smooth or easy. The anima and animus can be both guides and tricksters. They can lead you toward growth, but they can also possess you, causing you to act out in ways that are destructive to yourself and your relationships. A man possessed by his anima might become moody, oversensitive, and irrationally emotional. A woman possessed by her animus might become argumentative, rigid, and harshly critical. Jung observed these possession states in many of his patients and in his own life. He understood that the unconscious aspects of the psyche have tremendous power, and when we remain unconscious of them, they can control us from behind the scenes. This is why becoming conscious of projection isn't just intellectually interesting, it is psychologically necessary for anyone who wants to have healthy relationships and live an integrated life. The challenge is that we're culturally programmed to believe in the romantic fantasy. We're told that somewhere out there is the one, the perfect person who will complete us, understand us, and make us happy. We're encouraged to seek this person and to believe that finding them is the key to fulfillment. Jung's insights directly challenge this cultural narrative by suggesting that the search for the one is actually the search for our own wholeness projected outward. This doesn't mean that choosing a partner doesn't matter or that all relationships are equally valid. Jung would say that some people are more suitable partners than others, and that compatibility, shared values, and genuine connection all matter tremendously. But he would insist that no external person can provide the completeness that can only come from inner integration. The right partner can support your growth, challenge you, and accompany you on the journey, but they cannot do the work of integration for you. Understanding projection also helps explain why people often attract similar partners repeatedly. You might notice patterns in your romantic history, always choosing emotionally unavailable people, or always attracting partners who seem to need rescuing, or repeatedly ending up with people who trigger the same wounds. Jung would say these patterns reveal the specific qualities of your personal anima or animus, and the particular lessons your psyche is trying to teach you. The person who repeatedly chooses emotionally distant partners might have an animus or anima characterized by unavailability, perhaps because they themselves are terrified of genuine intimacy. The person who always plays rescuer might be projecting their own need to be rescued. The patterns repeat not because of bad luck, but because the unconscious is persistent. It will keep presenting the same lesson until you finally become conscious of what you're projecting and do the work of integration. This is why therapy, self-reflection, and inner work are so crucial for creating healthy relationships. You can't escape your projections by simply choosing different partners. You have to become conscious of the projection itself, understand what it reveals about your psyche, and integrate those qualities so that you're no longer compulsively seeking them in others. Jung himself went through this process in his own life. His relationship with his wife Emma was complex and evolved over decades. He also had significant relationships with other women, including his famous connection with Sabine Spielrein and his long relationship with Tony Wolff. Through these experiences, Jung came to understand projection not just theoretically, but experientially. He lived the challenges of recognizing his own anima projections and working to integrate them. What emerges from Jung's work is a vision of love that's both more challenging and more hopeful than the romantic fantasy. It's more challenging because it requires tremendous psychological work, the courage to withdraw projections, face your own incompleteness, and take responsibility for your own integration. But it's more hopeful because it suggests that the obstacles to real love aren't external. They are internal and therefore within your power to address. When you understand projection, you stop being a victim of your romantic disappointments and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. Every time a projection dissolves, you have the chance to reclaim a piece of yourself. Every time you're attracted to someone, you can ask what quality in them reflects an undeveloped aspect of your own psyche. Every relationship becomes a mirror, showing you what you need to integrate to become whole. This doesn't make love less magical, it makes it more real. The magic shifts from the intoxicating illusion of projection to the quiet miracle of two people actually seeing each other and choosing to build something together based on that seeing. The intensity shifts from the desperate longing of incompleteness, seeking completion, to the steady warmth of two whole people choosing to share their lives. Jung believed that this conscious approach to love and relationships is part of the broader process of individuation, becoming who you truly are. And just as individuation isn't a destination but a lifelong journey, learning to love consciously is an ongoing practice. You don't master it once and then coast. You continually notice projections, work to withdraw them, integrate their lessons, and practice seeing both yourself and others more clearly. The person who has done this work doesn't stop experiencing attraction or falling in love, but they approach these experiences with more consciousness and less compulsion. They can enjoy the excitement of new attraction while maintaining some awareness that projection might be at play. They can experience deep love for a partner while also recognizing and accepting that partner's limitations and humanity. They can commit to relationship while still taking responsibility for their own wholeness. This is the promise that Jung's insights offer, not a love free of challenges or complexity, but a love based on truth rather than illusion. A love where you see and are seen. A love where you're whole within yourself and therefore capable of genuine intimacy with another. A love where you're no longer desperately seeking your missing pieces in someone else, but consciously choosing to share your wholeness with another whole person. If you've recognized yourself in this exploration of projection and romantic love, if you've seen the patterns of idealization and disappointment in your own relationships, then you're ready to begin the work of conscious loving. Write in the comments, "I choose to see clearly," and commit to the practice of withdrawing projections and integrating what they reveal. Share this message with someone who needs to understand why their relationships keep following the same pattern. Your journey from illusion to authentic love begins with this understanding. Will you have the courage to see clearly?